Welcome to Asian American Life. I'm your host, Ernabel Demillo. We're here at the City College of New York, one of the sanctuary campuses on the East Coast. What that means, undocumented students are protected here. With President Trump's push for immigration reform, however, there has been a widespread crackdown on undocumented immigrants, including students. There have been arrests and deportations. Coming up, we'll take a look at the toll this has taken on the Asian American community. But first, here's a look at what's ahead on our show. If you ever wonder who the original dreamer is, meet Tereza Lee, the woman behind the DREAM Act. Minnie Roh reports how Trump's immigration deportation policy impacts Asian American families. Plus, the king of Latin soul, Rayner Ramirez meets music legend Joe Baatan. This and more on Asian American Life. 17 years ago, a Brazilian-born, American-raised Korean student was in tears when she thought she couldn't attend college. It was her story that was the beginning of a rallying cry for changes in U.S. immigration policies to help students like her gain a path to U.S. citizenship. Tereza Lee continues her fight. Here she is in her own words.
What do we want? No! When do we want it? No! What do we want? When do we want it? No!
She is the original dreamer. She is the reason why we have the DREAM Act.
No deal! No dream! No.
My full name is Tereza Lee, spelled with a Z because I was born in Brazil.
I can't imagine my parents, when they came here, when I was this little, how they could have done that, made that very difficult decision to start over. And that just shows how desperate they were.
My parents had escaped the destructions of Korean War. They escaped to Brazil, but soon they were robbed, so they were forced to start over again. My mother sold her wedding ring and some jewelry, and with that money they bought plane tickets and visas to the United States.
When I was about 7 years old, my dad sat us around and said he has something very serious to tell us about, that we were undocumented. So if we were separated, my dad explained to us that I would be sent to Brazil, my dad and mom would be sent to Korea, and my little brother, who was born in Chicago, would be put in foster care somewhere. So that was fear that I grew up with. My dad was a pastor of a church, and this very wealthy lady at my dad's church donated thousands of dollars worth of furniture, including a piano. And I had a piano since I was 7 years old. Piano was my escape from reality. The reality of me being undocumented, the reality of growing up very poor, so poor that we didn't have food in our house. I practiced and practiced and practiced, and I knew I needed a teacher because I would come at a dead end practicing on my own. I contacted my high school choir director, and he told me about Merit School of Music. I had an audition. I met with the teachers, and they let me in the school and gave me scholarship to take lessons there. And a year later, I got to perform the Tchaikovsky Piano Concerto with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. That was the beginning of my concert piano career. I came out to my music director of Merit School of Music, it's Anna Monaco, and I was of the age of applying to colleges. And she asked me what colleges I was planning on applying to, and I said I wasn't planning on applying to college. She said, "That's ridiculous." And so that's when I broke down in tears and I confessed to her that we were undocumented. She said, "Do you trust me?" And I said, "I do." And she decided that we should call Senator Durbin.
Well, we've got to show it in our voice.
So we started gathering letters from everyone we knew that knew me as a pianist, including donors, including other musicians and artists that were well known.
10 years ago, I was contacted by Ann Monaco, a teacher at the Merritt School of Music in Chicago.
Senator Durbin looked into my case, and he wanted to help, but he saw that there was nothing that he could do.
We contacted the INS, and they told us that she had an option. Tereza would have to leave the United States for 10 years.
I would just have to be sent back to Brazil, a completely foreign place to me. So he decided to write a personal bill. Other students started coming out and saying, I heard about this bill. Then Durbin's office realized that there were more undocumented students like me. So he decided that he needed to redraft this personal bill, make it into a larger bill.
And that's when I started to work on the DREAM Act.
So September 12, 2001 was the hearing for the DREAM Act in front of the Senate. And I was getting ready to attend it and also perform on the piano for the Senate. But everything was canceled. The flights were canceled on 9/11. The hearing was canceled. And the tone of our country's politics changed that day. Anything friendly towards immigrant rights was shut down. The DREAM Act was actually reintroduced in 2003, in 2005. They all failed. In 2007, it was actually reintroduced with the Pentagon support because they needed soldiers on the field in Iraq. 2009, they reintroduced it. 2010, it failed. 2011, we had a hearing. 2013, it was reintroduced as part of the package of comprehensive immigration reform. That went nowhere. And now we have Trump.
We will build a great wall along the southern border. You ever hear of the DREAM Act? The DREAM Act isn't for our children. The DREAM Act is for other children that come into the country. I want the DREAM Act to be for our children.
But they have become Americans. They've spent their lifetime in the classrooms of America, pledging allegiance to the only flag they've ever known, singing the only national anthem they know, being part of the only country they know.
Do you have the courage to stand for our dreams? If you say you're with us, this is what it means. Pass a clean DREAM Act now. Pass it now. Pass it clean.
Being undocumented, and that meant you grew up with the fear every single day of being separated from our families.
We love our families more than you know. We're fighting to all stay whole. Yes. We planted seeds and we need them to grow. We're fighting to all stay home.
I was lucky enough to fall in love, and we got married. He happened to be a U.S. citizen. Now we have 2 kids. Even though I'm a U.S. citizen now, I can't help myself but to keep fighting for the millions of other undocumented people, especially because I was undocumented for decades, because that trauma still is engraved within me and it will never be erased.
16 years later, we are still fighting harder than ever for immigrant rights.
We can't not give up because that's the only choice we have. We have to keep moving forward. We have to keep fighting. We have to do this until it passes.
I'm Minnie Roh. From the pilgrims who first landed on Plymouth Rock to those who toiled on the Transcontinental Railroad, immigrants have always played a crucial role in the history of the United States. But as the current political climate becomes less than favorable towards immigrants, especially undocumented ones, one deportation case in particular is leading many to question the policies of the nation.
Say it loud! Say it clear! Chris and Tony are welcome here!
Like the millions of immigrants who have come before them, Chris and Tony Wong came to the United States to make a better life for themselves.
This is the hardest thing for me. I will accept whatever happens to me, but my children's future is disappearing, and I'm so anguished about that.
The Wongs are Chinese Koreans, and despite having lived in the U.S. for 20 years, they prefer to conduct the interview in their native tongue.
From the day we arrived, we've paid our taxes. We have never committed a crime. We tried to live a lawful life.
Except the Wongs are here illegally. In 1999, Tony arrived in Canada on a Chinese tourist visa and crossed the border on foot. Chris followed a year later on a forged South Korean passport. They settled in New York City, found work at a nail salon, and started their new life.
When we first came here, we thought, let's just stay for a few years.
But then their priorities shifted as they began having kids. They moved to Connecticut in search of a good school district, opened their own nail salon, and worked around the clock.
When we had our second, I was pregnant. I worked until the day I gave birth. It was all for them.
The Wongs say they got onto the Immigration and Custom Enforcement, or ICE's radar, when they applied for a green card in 2009. When they lost their case and subsequent appeals, the Wongs thought this was the end of their life in America.
When I heard that, I felt hopeless. My kids only know America. They were born here.
However, much to their surprise, when they checked into the Hartford ICE office, the Wongs say they received a year extension, allowing them to remain in the U.S. and continue to receive these yearly extensions for the next several years.
You can call us illegal if you want, but we felt we were protected under the Immigration Service. Our lawyers said, don't worry, you haven't committed a crime. You have U.S.-born children. America won't kick you out.
Hi, Donald John Trump.
But then, in December 2017, under the new Trump administration, that is exactly what happened. The Wongs went, as usual, to the Hartford ICE office to get their extension. Except this year, they were told to buy a one-way ticket out of the country.
I said, how can you kick me out in a month's notice? They said, don't ask us. So I asked, who should we ask? They said, go ask Trump.
Then both husband and wife were told to put on electronic ankle bracelets to monitor their whereabouts. That's when Chris says her whole world came crashing down.
I said, take my home, my business. I'll give it all to you. But this is not right. I have never committed any crimes.
There are roughly 11 million undocumented immigrants nationwide, and stories of sudden deportation, like the Wongs, is becoming an all-too-familiar narrative. The Wongs say they could not possibly take their two sons, both U.S. citizens, back to China to face an uncertain future.
I understand that you say we need to leave because it was wrong of us to be here. But why do you have to punish our kids too?
There are a number in Connecticut that have not ended well, and people have been deported and they've left their families behind.
William Tong is a Connecticut state representative.
He says he first got wind of the Wongs story via social media when the community rallied together with local, state, and federal politicians to protest their deportation.
If we deported 12 million people tomorrow, like the hardline right-wing anti-immigration activists would have us do, that would destroy America's economy. So let's just cut the crap.
On a personal note, Tong says he can relate to the Wongs because back in the 1970s, his own father was served a deportation order after overstaying his tourist visa. He wrote a 6-page letter to President Nixon pleading his case and was allowed to stay.
The Wongs are who we are, and if life had just been a little bit different, if we had come here at a different time. As a state representative, I think the only thing we can do is fight and draw attention to these issues.
Tong, who is running for state attorney general, says he will also work to strengthen Connecticut's Trust Act, which means local and state police are not required to alert ICE if they pick up an undocumented person for a nonviolent crime. Currently, numerous localities in about 27 states, including Connecticut, California, and New York, are considered so-called sanctuary cities. In March, the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against the state of California for its sanctuary laws, and the Attorney General has previously announced other cities and states could lose millions in federal grants and funding if they refuse to cooperate with immigration agents.
No one's going to get deported under your watch?
Alan Warnick is an attorney and director of CUNY's Citizenship Now program, which offers free immigration law services.
We've opened the doors. We've left the border open. We've said, come, we need you to work in our fields. We need you to build our houses. We need you to take care of our children. And then we get into a little bit of an economic crisis, and all these people who we've invited into our yards, into our houses, into our schools, into our families in many ways, and now we're saying, no, you have to go up. I don't think that's right. I think it's unfair. I think it's unjust. I think it's immoral.
Warnick does believe, however, that there may be positive changes to immigration policies on the horizon. He says now is a time for the undocumented to stand up and raise their collective voices.
If you look what happened with the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, those students, they came out. They said, we're here, we're undocumented, do something for us.
Please keep that together.
The Wongs certainly raised their voices loud and clear thanks to the help of advocate and friend Lori Kane. She created a petition with MoveOn.org and was instrumental in organizing rallies where politicians stood shoulder to shoulder with the community to bring awareness to their plight.
The laws need to change. It's not just about Chris and Tony and their boys. There are many other families that do not have a voice, and therefore they're just being deported.
As for the Wongs, there is a temporary silver lining in their story.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Just one day before they were to board their plane to leave, a last-minute reprieve came in the form of an emergency stay. For now, the Wongs remain in America with their boys to fight another day. Did you think that America would treat you this way?
Oh no, I never thought that. I paid my taxes, abided by the law. I raised my kids. I thought America was always a fair and just country.
I contacted ICE to ask why the Wongs were suddenly served a deportation notice after all these years, but there was no response to my request. I'm Minnie Roh for Asian American Life.
Long before hip-hop and the sounds of salsa, a beat rose out of these streets in New York City's East Harlem, also known as El Barrio. That sound is called Latin Boogaloo, and one of its breakout stars is a remarkable Asian American.
The king of Latin soul, Mr. Joe Baatan.
Joe Baatan is not your ordinary guy from El Barrio. Born Bataan Italiano in 1942 to a Filipino immigrant and an African-American mother, he learned how to hustle at a young age.
You grew up here. This is your neighborhood.
Right. This is my neighbor, so that was our walk, so that meant you were down.
That meant you were down. So if you walk like that, you could pretend you were in this neighborhood.
Well, everybody stepped aside. and they knew you were somebody.
Baatan says he had to fight his way down these mean streets as a minority in a Puerto Rican neighborhood.
What did you do? We thought about the dollar, so it meant getting off our butts, going downstairs, maybe making a shoe shine box and shining people's shoes on the corner. Or it meant going down there to the neighborhood game that they played dice, and we shot dice. Whatever it was, if it was selling a couple of sticks of joints for 50 cents, we did that too.
But Baatan had bigger dreams.
Back then, there were only two ways to get out of the barrio or to get out of poverty. That was to be an entertainer or to be an athlete.
Joe, these tunnels, you utilize them to...
Yeah, to sing and to hide out. You know, actually, this is a built-in echo chamber, right?
Right.
We sat here, I mean, all kinds of hours in the night. Nobody would chase us away, and we sang, darling, oh, when we get married. So you can see the resonance.
While singing doo-wop, Baatan was also in a gang called the Dragons, and it wasn't long before he ran into trouble.
I was arrested 3 times, going to court 3 times. My mother begs, wash floors, to get a lawyer who told us that he was going to get me off. He never got us off.
When Baatan was sentenced to 5 years in prison for stealing a car, he vowed to turn his life around.
I'm going to pretend the time I'm away that I'm in college.
Baatan learned about music theory and passed a high school equivalency test while in prison. After 3 years, Baatan returned home to East Harlem. Determined, Baatan says he spent the next 2 years teaching himself how to play music in the basement of a church. Then he stumbled upon a group of kids playing music at a community center.
I just thought because I was going to commandeer the place because I was Baatan, the neighborhood thug. And I said, what are you guys doing? And they were sort of like taken back, frightened. So we were rehearsing. And then I got a brain wave. I said, holy, what am I talking about? This is everything I need right here. They don't have a piano player. I took the knife out of my pocket and I stabbed it into the grand piano. They all looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, I'm the leader of this band.
Baatan finally had a band. He says he made them practice 3 hours a day, 5 times a week, refining the sound of Latin boogaloo.
Well, boogaloo is actually an offshoot of soul. It's just done with a cha-cha beat. But as long as I got that beat.
It wasn't long before Baatan got a contract with Fania Records. By 1967, he had a hit.
And I remember the old Curtis Mayfield song called Gypsy Woman. And I started to play it, and then I recalled, I said to him, look, from out of nowhere, through a caravan, they come from sunlight to moonlight to see my gypsy in motion.
After producing several hits with Fania, Baatan started his own record label in 1973. He called it Sal Soul to reflect his music.
That's when I decided, let me tell people what I am. You know, everybody else is saying who they are.
He released Afro-Filipino, an album that embraced his identity.
Afro-Filipino, average sort of guy.
But by the mid-1970s, boogaloo was losing its luster to salsa. In 1979, Joe dipped his feet into a new genre of music rising from the Bronx, popularized by DJs that fuse existing record tracks with rhyme.
Just clap your hands, everybody. Everybody clap your hands.
Rapo Clapo made the top 10 in Europe, but it didn't fly in the US. Struggling to make a living, Baatan dropped out of the music business. Baatan found a job as a counselor at the Spofford Juvenile Detention Center, where he worked for 25 years. In the mid-90s, Baatan returned to the stage, embraced by a younger generation of Filipino Americans.
They loved what I was doing, and they loved that I was part Filipino, and I said it.
While Filipino Americans were rediscovering Joe Baatan, DJs digging through crates of vinyl were also bringing back the sounds of Boogaloo.
So part of the appeal of Latin Boogaloo is that it's hitting you right here.
Jonathan Goldman is a DJ and leads a contemporary Latin Boogaloo band called Spanglish Fly. Baatan has a new single in their new album.
This is Subway Joe talking to you from way back.
Joe Baatan is one of the instrumental figures in this history and the history of Latin Boogaloo. The music he heard and the music he loved, and so it's the music he decided he wanted to play. And he became the king of Latin soul, despite not being Latino.
At 75, Baatan performs all over the world, often leading with a prayer song. In 2012, Joe's contribution to music was honored by the Smithsonian's National Portrait Gallery. They hung his picture next to the likes of Dizzy Gillespie and Maya Angelou.
That happens to be one of the highlights of my life. I said, my father could see this, you know? I said, well, he would be so proud. And my mother, you know? And what it meant to me, you know? We would walk down the streets.
Baatan just finished writing his memoir, Streetology, about overcoming adversity in East Harlem.
You don't sleep through a day without learning something. If you wake up and say, well, what the hell did I learn today? And you got a blank, it's criminal. In the good old days when we were young.
Joe Baatan, the king of Latin soul, is still hustling. He continues to tour around the world, and he's editing his memoir, Streetology, for publication. For Asian American Life, I'm Rayner Ramirez.
That's our show for now. If you want to learn more about our stories, be sure to like us on Facebook at Asian American Life. I'm Ernabel Demillo. We'll see you next time.